If you remember catching this one at a drive-in or staying up late for the midnight movie, Invasion of the Body Snatchers likely left a mark. Released in 1956, it spoke to a generation's deepest fears: loss of self, of trust, of community. Nearly 70 years on, its quiet warning still lingers, and may feel more relevant than ever. Welcome to Santa Mira, a seemingly tranquil California town where the events of Invasion of the Body Snatchers unfold. At the center is Dr. Miles Bennell, a small-town physician, portrayed by Kevin McCarthy, who begins to hear troubling concerns from his patients, loved ones who appear unchanged outwardly, yet feel distinctly off. Initially, Bennell considers stress or mass anxiety, but soon learns of something far more alarming. One evening, he is summoned to the throne of his friend back Belichick, where they discover a human form, intact but devoid of fingerprints. Defining features or any trace of personality, it seemed like a human-shaped shell, a copy gone unfinished. As events unfold, Bennell and his former flame, Becky Driscoll, uncovered the truth. Mysterious alien pods sent here on airy spores are silently replacing townspeople. While its human host sleeps, each pod generates a replica with identical appearance, memories, even speech patterns, yet eerily lacking emotion or vitality. What begins with a few isolated incidents soon grows into a quiet takeover, as neighbors, friends, even family, including Jack and Teddy, become lifeless duplicates. Faced with this infiltration, Bennell must ask himself, who is still human, who can be trusted, and how can one fight an adversary that wears a familiar face? The horror lies in its subtlety. There's no shattering finale. Instead, the film invites us to question the nature of identity, community, and trust. Nearly 70 years later, its themes remain unsettlingly relevant, especially in an age where appearance and voice may no longer guarantee authenticity. In our next chapter, we will examine how the simplest human act, sleep, becomes the greatest vulnerability in this chilling tale. Having introduced the mystery, one that still offers chilling parallels in 2025, let us turn to how the film transforms simple sleep into a threat to existence. Soon in this video, you'll get to know that this isn't just a story about alien pods or Cold War paranoia. It's about something far more timeless, what it means to remain fully, stubbornly human. In Invasion of the Body Snatchers, sleep is not a source of rest. It is the most dangerous moment of all. As someone drifts off, a nearby alien pod silently begins to cultivate a perfect replica. Same face, voice, and even memories, yet completely lacking emotion or soul. When the duplicate emerges, only the shell remains. It speaks correctly, gestures accurately, but feels empty inside. Dr. Miles Bennell and his former flame, Becky Driscoll, quickly realize that staying awake is their only defense. They rely on strong coffee and even pills, knowing full well that giving in to sleep means surrendering their true selves. The pods themselves are passive aggressors. They do not hunt. It is sleep that does. They wait expectantly, understanding that every human eventually must close their eyes. What makes them so terrifying is their ability to blend in completely. The duplicates remember the same birthdays, the same stories, and do so without anyone realizing. By morning, friends and family may be physically present, while their humanity is gone. This calculated quietness creates a profound sense of unease. The enemy is not blasting through doors. It is sitting at the dining table, wearing a familiar face. When someone dear falls asleep, the real person is lost. The question becomes chillingly clear. How do you confront an enemy that looks and sounds like your loved one? The answer in this film is brutal, but simple. Act before dawn. Vigilance is survival. Next, we will explore the deeper metaphor at the heart of this film, the question of what these pod people truly represent in our own lives. And if this notion unsettles you as much as it did audiences in 1956, consider subscribing for more thoughtful looks at classic films that still echo today. Leave a comment if you ever felt the creeping quiet of a world slowly going numb, because sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that don't end. When Invasion of the Body Snatchers premiered in 1956, it did more than frighten audiences. It sparked fierce debate. Was this truly a science fiction thriller, or a warning in disguise? To some, the answer was clear. The pod people symbolized communism, cold, uniform, emotionless, spreading quietly across small-town America. This reading made sense in the context of the Cold War. When fears of ideological infiltration ran deep, every neighbor could be a threat. Trust no one. Sound familiar? But others saw something different. They believed that the film was less about communism and more about America itself, a reflection of how fear, pressure, and paranoia were leading citizens to conform. In this version, the pod people weren't foreign invaders. They were us, ordinary people trading depth for safety, trading individuality for the illusion of belonging. Interestingly, director Don Siegel claimed that he wasn't aiming for political commentary. To him, the story was about identity and the creeping dread of not knowing who or what to trust. Yet that ambiguity may be exactly why the film has endured. It adapts. Each generation sees its own reflection in those vacant eyes. And maybe that's the real terror. The monsters aren't from another world. They're what we become when we surrender critical thought, empathy, or the courage to stand apart. It's not just a tale of aliens. It's a mirror. Next, we'll uncover the film's original ending, one so bleak it was buried in the 1956 theaters and only resurfaced in later restored versions. It's not just a tale of aliens, it's a mirror. And stay around till the end because the mirror only has grown clearer with time. In an age of digital doubles and curated lives, the film's quiet warning about losing what makes us human feels more urgent than ever. In its original form, Invasion of the Body Snatchers ends not with a triumph, but with terror. Dr. Miles Bennell, filthy, desperate, and nearly broken, runs onto a busy California highway. As cars rush by, he shouts frantically, "They're already here! You're next!" But no one stops. No one listens. There is no rescue, only panic and helplessness. Fade to black. This was the ending director Don Siegel envisioned, and it was part of the original cut, but Allied Artists, the distributing studio, balked after negative test audience reactions. They required a framing device, Bennell in a hospital telling his story to authorities, and then a softer epilogue showing government action, leaving viewers with a glimmer of relief. Siegel later admitted the imposed ending compromised the film's power. Thankfully, over the years, restored versions have returned to Siegel's vision. Today, many fans and critics embrace the original finale as one of the most haunting in science fiction history, not because it shocks with violence, but because it offers no comfort, no answers, no heroes, just the sound of traffic passing as humanity slips away, all unnoticed. Though released nearly 70 years ago, Invasion of the Body Snatchers remains as unsettling and as relevant as ever. Its fears weren't rooted in flying saucers or laser beams, but in something far more enduring, the erosion of identity, emotion, and trust. In 1956, the film imagined a world where people were replaced by soulless doubles. Today, that idea feels less like fiction and more like a metaphor. We face digital imposters daily, deepfakes. And for those of you that don't know, deepfakes are AI-generated videos that mimic real people's voices or faces so convincingly they can deceive even those who actually know the person. Bots, curated personas, and misinformation. On social media, it's often difficult to tell what's real, who is authentic, or whether anyone is still home beneath the surface. The film's loss of emotion, its characters drained of warmth and empathy, also echoes in our era. Critics note how online interaction often trade compassion for convenience, and how constant connectivity can leave us feeling more isolated than ever. Like the pod people, we may appear engaged, yet something essential feels absent. The story has evolved, yet the fear endures. Later remakes, from the 1978 cult classic to the 2007 version starring Nicole Kidman, adapt the invasion to reflect new anxieties. In the most relevant retelling, infection spreads by touch, evoking fears of pandemics and biological collapse. Each remake shapes the threat, but the message stays the same. Despite our technological leaps, the question lingers. In a world of imitation and image, can we hold on to what makes us human? Nearly 70 years after its release, Invasion of the Body Snatchers continues to resonate, not because of flashy effects or science fiction spectacle, but because of a quiet, enduring question: what happens when we stop feeling? In 1956, the fear took the shape of alien seed pods replacing humans with emotionless copies. But in 2025, that dread wears a different mask. It might be artificial intelligence simulating thought and emotion. It might be carefully curated social media personas, where we present only polished fragments of ourselves, Or it may be the digital echo chambers we build, places that reflect our views but never challenge them. In each case, the danger isn't invasion from without, but erosion from within. We risk becoming like the pod people, not through science fiction, but through voluntary conformity. The film suggests that our humanity, messy, passionate, unpredictable, is something to defend. Dr. Bennell fights not just to survive, but to feel, to love, to grieve, to doubt. The film's real horror is the possibility that we might willingly surrender all of that for the comfort of peace, uniformity, and detachment. It asks a chilling question. If we could eliminate pain, uncertainty, and conflict by giving up emotion, will we do it? In an age defined by artificial personas and filtered realities, that question still matters, and perhaps that's why Invasion of the Body Snatcher endures. It's not just a film about aliens, it's a mirror held up to catch each of us, asking quietly, are we still human? If this thought lingers, like, share, and subscribe for more reflections on classic cinema that still speaks to the present, because some stories don't fade, they echo.